Quebec has played a significant part in the making of Canada as a complete and diverse country. However, there are many past events and factors that have influenced Quebec's ambitions on wanting to become a distinct society. Some factors have pushed Quebec to want to become a distinct society, and some factors have pulled them back into wanting to stay with Canada. Today we'll be exploring: to what extent did particular past events influence Quebec's attachment to distinct society? In the 1600s, the French had colonized Montreal and the population of the French grew. Afterward, in 1763, the Battle of the Plains of Abraham occurred and the French lost. This gave the British control over Quebec. From there on, Quebec's ambitions of separation from Canada began. Ever since Quebec was taken over by the British in the Battle of Abraham, they suffered from the loss of the French language and the French traditions which had been in practice ever since Canada was founded by Jacques Cartier. Under the Quebec Act of 1774, French-speaking Quebecers were still the majority in the province, although it was a British colony. Then, in just 20 years, under the Constitution of 1791, with Upper Canada and Lower Canada, it was 1-to-1. The French Canadians were equal in population, more or less, with the Upper Canadians. The British population grew, and the fear of being overtaken by the vast majority of English people were beginning to worry the minds of the French. The English culture and traditions were looked at as a threat to the French culture, in that they could have been threatened to change themselves to the English customs. It's very similar to what happened to the First Nations. In the First World War, the French fought with the English. However, some problems which arose, and the French soldiers were not happy. None of the generals leading the French knew the French language and had no way of communicating with their soldiers. This was a red flag which the French saw, and it really strengthened their ambitions to become a separate nation of people who actually knew how to speak French. In 1980, a referendum was issued. The referendum stated to have Quebec to be known as a distinct society, which was a result of all the political tensions building up and the threat of losing identity and culture. The referendum in the 1980s, which was called up by Quebec's Parti Québécois, was defeated by a relatively one-sided margin of 59.56% votes saying no to 40.44% saying yes.
The way the French saw it was that there were about 8 million French in a sea of 250 million Anglophones in North America. If you switch the languages, 8 million English speakers in a sea of 250 million French speakers is a clear risk to the minority. Even though the threat was seen politically, many individuals didn't agree with it. Then, after about 15 years, the second referendum's idea started to form. The provincial party Québécois government demanded to get one more referendum in hopes that the people understood the threat and might have changed their minds. After the Minchlic Accord, it gave the Québécois party a green light that they were fine to separate from the ROC. This event, which played a major role in the Québécois party's defeat, was when Lise Payette said negative things about the women because they were less likely to vote for the Oui Party than the men. She called them avettes, which refers to a meek little girl featured in French primary school books. This was an offensive statement and made about 15,000 women turn their votes. This took away a significant amount of voters, which played a major part in the defeat. The second event, which changed the path, was the Unity Rally, in which 100,000 or more people from all across Canada came in to show that they liked the Quebecs as they were and that they didn't want them to change. This rally of support was an approach of the Canadians who wanted Quebec to stay. This symbolic march might have been the pivoting point and the reason of the Parti Québécois' loss. The referendum of 1995, which was called by the provincial Parti Québécois government, led by Jacques Parizeau, lost by a scope of 50.58% to 49.42%, emphasizing how these little mistakes cost them a defeat. People had become more sensitive on the issue, and if it wasn't for those couple of actions, the Parti Québécois might have won the referendum.
In conclusion, Quebec has faced a multitude of push and pull factors during their existence of 152 years. All these factors have influenced the desires of a distinct society for a large majority of Quebec. It is now clear to see that we must understand past events and factors that have occurred so that we can properly understand the concepts of community and nationality. Generations of Quebecers and Quebecois have experienced these factors firsthand and continue to express their wishes for the future of Quebec and their distinct society. They do not want to spread negativity in their protests and wishes for their future. Quebec inhabitants who wish to separate or become a distinct society still want to maintain peace and prosperity, as a distinct society means to be different, not superior. The solutions for peace and prosperity are right in front of Canadians' eyes. If Quebec wants a distinct society, Canada should continue to allow referendums and voting processes for the public so that they can determine the future of whether Quebec should be a distinct society or be part of Canada as a whole. Thank you.